Hello again. I'm here to do another book review. This one for A Stranger in the House by Shari lapena. It was an audiobook actually that I read. So it was read by Tavia Gilbert. I gave this 4 stars because of the actual audiobook. If I actually just read this book, I probably would have given it 3 stars. And how I'm going to do this review is I'm going to talk about why I like the book, and then I'll probably give spoilers at the end, and I'll give you a warning when I get to spoilers of what I had problems with. But this is a book that I normally wouldn't read. It's like a Gone Girl mystery type of story. Usually not the stories I read, but I participated in the Spookathon, and it was one of the books that they were reading, and so I said, let me listen to it on audiobook. And like I said, it wasn't bad. I mean, like I said, it's one of those kind of books where you read it and you like it after you read it or after I listen to it. But then I start thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, this kind of doesn't work, and this kind of doesn't work, and it kind of brings the story down for me. It's about let me actually read the synopsis here. It says, Karen and Tom Crump are happy. They've got a lovely home in upstate New York. They're practically newlyweds, and they have no kids to interrupt their comfortable life together. But one day, Tom returns home to find Karen has vanished. Her car's gone, and it seems like she left in a rush. She even left her purse, complete with phone and ID, behind. There's a knock on the door. The police are there to take Tom to the hospital, where his wife has been admitted. She had a car accident and lost control as she sped through the worst part of town. The accident has left Karen with a concussion and a few scrapes. Still, she's mostly okay, except that she can't remember what she was doing or where she was when she crashed. The cops think her memory loss is highly convenient and suspect she was up to no good. Karen returns home with Tom, determined to heal and move on with her life. Then she realizes something's been moved. Something's not quite right. Someone's been in her house. And the police won't stop asking questions. Because in this house, everyone's a stranger. Everyone has something they'd rather keep hidden. Something they might even kill to keep quiet. One thing I really liked, like I told you, is the audio interpretation of this book. The person who reads these books, she puts a lot of emotions into the characters. And it's really cool because these are people who they introduce you as one way, and by the end of the book, then none of them are like what you think. And so it's definitely one of those, it's a twist and turn book. And in fact, at the end, it really twists and turns. But I'll get to that in the spoiler section. Like I said, as an audiobook, I really enjoyed it because of the author narration. I thought the author narration really just kind of brought it up to a little higher level than what it was normally. So these 3 characters, actually there are 3 characters. It's the next door, the neighbor across the street, and Karen and Tom. I forgot what the neighbor across the street, what name was. But these 3 characters basically around the story, and you see how they develop and how they change. And the detectives also are big parts of the story as well. And it's really interesting to see, like, okay, what is this? Where is it going? And you think it's going one way. You think, oh, okay, I've seen this trope. I've seen this cliche a lot. And okay, but then they change it. And then it seems like the problem I had with the book was at the end, they kind of pump all of the changes near the end of the book. So literally, like, the last hour of my listening to this book, all of these changes happen. And suddenly I'm thinking, wait a minute. That kind of doesn't make sense. if I listen to it, like, some of these changes kind of don't make sense. But in general, as a listen to, as an audiobook, I would still recommend it. If you're into this kind of story, I mean, I can't be a good judge of it since I don't read that much of it. But it was okay. But like I said, you gotta turn your brain off a little bit because there's some plot holes that I'll get to it. And I think this is going to probably be the end of my non-spoiler review. So if you've just been listening to this video to say, okay, well, should I buy it? What's good about it? What's bad about it? It has a lot of twists and turns. It's definitely kind of in that, I say, that Gone Girl or those kind of twisty type of mystery novels. There is a murder. I mean, I could give you that. There is obviously, there's got to be a murder in this, and obviously is this woman who just crashed her car into the bad part of town. Is that how is she connected to this murder? Why would she be connected to this murder? And again, it's these people who they show you one face in the beginning of the book, and then slowly but surely you see that all of these characters have completely different lives or hidden agendas, so to speak. So that's going to be it for my non-spoiler review. Like, I'm warning you now ahead of time. If you don't want to hear the spoilers about this book, or you don't want to hear discuss some of the problems I had with the book, just stop now, because I'm going to get into spoilers, because I really do want to talk about some of the spoilers in this book, and I will get into it. Okay, so fair warning, last warning. 3, 2, 1. Okay. In this book, you have these 3 characters, right? You have the next door neighbor, you have the wife, and then the husband. You find out that the wife, it looks like in the beginning of the book, they try to set it up as, okay, she's running away from this abusive guy. And that's why she changed her identity. She was running away from this abusive guy. And this abusive guy comes up and was coming up to catch her. And that's why she went to confront him. And that, she killed him in self-defense because he was an abusive guy. And that's the first narrative they try to throw at you. And it's like, okay, well, I've seen this. I've seen all the movies and like that. But then they say, okay, no, that's not really what happened. There was another issue where she actually was basically just manipulating this guy because she wanted all this power, all this money from this guy. She knew she was going to leave him. She actually knew he was going to come back to her. And that she actually manipulated him to do illegal stuff. And he came back to her, and she killed him because she was planning on killing him because she basically ran off with all his money. He became like this mafia, like basically stole money from the mob. She stole that money and knew he was going to come after her. So she planned on killing him. The problem I have with that part of it is she meets this guy, this, whatever his name was, Ken. Is that his name, Ken? She meets this guy, okay, Tom, Karen meets this guy, Tom. And suddenly, she's not like that anymore. She's fallen for him, even though she's still manipulative. She still was only, looking to keep this money. And she was already planning on running away again if she got caught. But somehow, magically, she really wants this guy, Tom. Right? That kind of throws me off right there. Secondly, the other part of the book that kind of threw me off is that you had this neighbor, again, I cannot remember the woman's name for the life of me, but you had this neighbor who winds up, she was having an affair with Tom, which of course that throws it all off because she looks like the only friend that Karen has. She's really close to Karen, and Karen feels like, oh, well, Tom doesn't like her friend because she doesn't like her. She wishes she liked her friend. You find out that the friend and Karen, the friend and the neighbor were going together, and that he was manipulated by her because he thought she was breaking up with her husband. But then you find out that she wasn't breaking up with her husband. She was just wanting to have sex with him. So the problem is that the neighbor actually follows Karen, and you find out at the end of the book that the neighbor actually saw her kill Karen, but then they play games because the neighbor's also obsessed, and the neighbor went to the house and was stalking Tom, which made no sense because she tried to frame the Karen all to get Tom, but all she had to do to get Tom was leave her husband. But she didn't want to leave her husband. But then when her husband finds out that she did all this, the husband leaves and she acts like, well, I don't really care that the husband left. And I felt really when Tom slept with the woman, I wish I could remember her name again. I have to look it up. When Tom slept with the woman, it felt so forced to me, so weird at the end of the book because she was gonna, make a statement. She was gonna get his wife in trouble, so he did it to protect his wife. It felt so weird. so totally off base, and I realized that the only reason they put that in the book, the only reason they did that was to throw that big thing on you. Oh my God, the neighbor is pregnant. That bothered me. That's why, I mean, those little things, I mean, again, I understand this is a twist and turns book. I understand, I guess you got to turn your brain off a little bit. But those little things in the book really bothered me. And the more I thought about it, it really bothered me. I mean, I still would give it a 4 stars in narration as a read through. But that's why I'm doing this as a spoiler. Because if you've already read the book, then you can think, oh man, these things are starting to bother me. After thinking about it, I might even knock it down to maybe even a 2.5 if I actually just read it. Because it does have those problems that we just keep nagging at you. Again, I still like the book, which is weird, even though I have all these complaints about it. I still like the book, but I just felt like some of the gaps in logic in this thing, some of the ways that the pieces kind of fit together, and some scenes that literally I feel like was only written to make a surprise ending, gave me trouble. I just didn't like them, and because of that, I had trouble with the book after thinking about it for a while. But I just wanted to mention all this stuff about the book. I know this is a longer video for you, and thank you for listening, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.